Good evening, everybody. It is Saturday, the 3rd of June, as I record this, so it will likely be Saturday night or Sunday morning by the time you hear/watch this video. And this video is one that I really did not want to make. I'm being as sincere as I possibly could in that statement. I didn't want to make this video. I don't like making videos like this one. I don't like talking with my audience in this manner, but there's a reason for that. You see, when it comes to this channel, I want this to be a channel where I talk about the quality of the story or the details of the story. I like to make lore videos, and I like to review the lore of whatever it is I'm talking about. I don't like to give opinionated videos on the companies, on, the people within the companies or the politics being made, because I believe firmly that as a viewer and a consumer of such content, the opinions of others should really be kept, to themselves unless they strongly believe in whatever it is they're trying to say. And for the last 3 years, I haven't really had any opinions strong enough to warrant a discussion video completely disassociated from the lore. And this is the first time I think I'm having this conversation. I might have had one or two others, but this is the first time I'm really thinking about it where A, enough people are asking me to talk about this, and B, I myself have a pretty strong opinion on it. But again, I want to express that these kind of videos aren't going to be popping up a whole lot. I don't like rambling on about my personal opinion on things that have basically no connection to what's going on at the channel itself. I'd rather, talk about the lore. And I do want to make more of these lore after hour ramble videos / podcast style conversations about actual lore. It's just, this is the first thing I wanted to talk about because it's kind of fresh in my mind. In case you didn't see the title of this video, I am not going to be purchasing any amount of product for the Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth Magic the Gathering set. This video has 2 points of discussion: the set itself and the behavior of Wizards of the Coast, both, facing the customers and behind the scenes. So, I want to start by saying, like many of you watching, and many thousands of people across the planet who are just tuning in to this set, I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings. I'm not a huge fan, of course. I'm not a mega fan. I don't know the names of all the Ainur. I don't know all the crazy backgrounds with Theoden and all the wars he was part of. I don't know all the Hobbit names and all that jazz. But I did enjoy the films by Peter Jackson. I did read through the books at least once. And one of my favorite cartoons from my childhood was the Rankin Bass Hobbit film. Jesus. The Hobbit film, which I rewatch fairly regularly. I like to put it on when I'm sorting cards. It's a fun film to just relax to. It's a very cozy film. And so, when I say I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings, I mean it. I'm a huge fan of the world. I love the characters, and I do want to get into the lore at some point on this channel, but I feel like there's dozens of other YouTube channels that have covered Lord of the Rings and Tolkien's work better, so whatever. Another thing to talk about is, almost 10 years ago now, I was a game store owner. I owned a cozy little hobby shop of my own. Had some good business, had some bad business, and after about a year, I closed it down for 3 reasons that I'm not going to get into today. But even now, 10 years later, I do still buy up sealed product because one of my personal goals, is to reopen a small store of my own again, and just to enjoy being a hobby shop owner, despite the protests of people who are smarter than me telling me that's a terrible idea. But in kind of preparation for that goal, I've made a habit of putting what little money I can aside and buying up sealed product of whatever strikes my fancy, be it Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Weiss, Schwartz, Force of Will, etc. Any card game that I think might in the future be something potential customers might want to buy. And despite my absolute outrageous hatred for Wizards of the Coast and the shit they pull on a fairly regular basis, I have still up until this point bought just about every set that they've released. At least a box I've tried to put aside for the future. But I'm not going to be doing that with this set. I'm not going to be buying any sealed product of Lord of the Rings. And the big reason why is you guys know it. It's the race baiting. It's the race swapping. It's the wokeism. It's all the bullshit they're trying to put into this set. You know, WotC has this very fucking two-faced approach to this set. They race swap these characters in an attempt to get you outraged so that more people have their eyes on this set. In a very transparent attempt to get more sales through aggravating their fan base. By pissing you off, they hope that more people will have their eyes tuned to this product. It's very disgusting. It's a terrible piece of marketing. And I think it's going to work. Lord of the Rings is a stupid popular set, and there's people who are only... Lord of the Rings is a stupid popular IP, and there's people who are only barely aware of it who are going to buy this knowing only that, hey, it pisses off some of those right-wing chuds. And speaking of that, you know, the whole... all this conversation about it is just... It's very disgusting what they're doing here. Okay? This is a set, this is a product made with hatred for Tolkien. The people who are involved in this set, I want to be very clear. I do not care what they say. I do not care what they claim on Twitter or Reddit or their official Twitch channel. The people who made this set, the people who made the decisions of the depictions of these characters, they hate Tolkien. They hate his world. They hate his story. They hate his characters. They hate everything that the man stood for. Because if they didn't hate him, they would not bastardize his work in this way. They would not make Aragorn black just to try and push their diversity message. They wouldn't make the Easterlings white just to show white people as evil. They wouldn't do all of this in an attempt just to piss off their primary customer base on the off chance that that might drag in more buyers from elsewhere. I'm going to be very clear. I'm going to say it again. The people who work on this set hate you, and they hate Tolkien. And for that reason, I am not giving Wizards of the Coast any of my money in regards to this set. It's just not going to happen. They're not getting a dime out of me for this. Now, with all of that said, I am going to confess, at some point, I'm probably going to buy... not sealed singles or bulk. People bring me bulk all the time, and I basically never say no to Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Pokemon bulk. I always buy it up, whatever. And of course, maybe 10 years from now, I'll probably see a card that was originally printed in this set that I want for an EDH deck. So I can't say I'm never going to buy it, but, in terms of sealed, I'm never going to buy sealed product, especially, fuck, I lost my train of thought. I can't remember what I wanted to say. As a casual fan of Lord of the Rings, I could probably get over Aragorn being black. If it weren't for one thing. As somebody who's read the book, I know something about Aragorn that Wizards of the Coast apparently doesn't. And I could ignore Aragorn being black if it weren't for the fact that they depicted Arwen as white. Why does that bother me? Well, because you see, in the story of Lord of the Rings, if I'm getting this correctly, because again, it's been a while since I've read the books, in the story of Lord of the Rings, Arwen's father, Elrond, has a brother, Elros, and long in the ye old days, Elrond and Elros, who were both half-elves, were given the choice to choose whether or not they would live as elves or men. Elrond, obviously, chose to live as an elf, and thus was granted effective immortality, and Elros chose to live as a man with the other men. And why is this important? Well, because Elros, Elrond's brother, is like the direct descendant of Aragorn, which means Aragorn and Arwen are blood related, and part of Aragorn's story in the books is, he has a direct line of descendancy from Elros. It's very integral to his character. So, in a depiction where Aragorn is black, Arwen should also be black. It just makes genealogical sense. None of this half-assing shit. None of this, oh, Aragorn's black and we're going to have Arwen white for no reason. No, make it one or the other, you fuckers. Don't, wish-wash this shit. That kind of shit actually pisses me off when they made this change. And that goes back to what I'm saying. The people here made this change, and they'll claim that they did it with reverence for Tolkien's work, but in reality, they just did it to try and push their bullshit. They've never read the books. These people didn't read the fucking books. So, when I say that the people who worked on this set have nothing but disdain for Tolkien and his work, I can say that with some confidence because it's very clear to me, a casual fan of the franchise, that they've never read his work and they have no idea what's going on with the characters they're depicting on the cards. It's very obvious to me and to other people out there who are more serious fans of Tolkien's work, of Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, The Silmarillion, etc., there's probably more glaring problems that I've not noticed, but this is just the one that obviously comes to mind to me. And you know what? That's really all I have to say about that. About the entire situation in general. I was going to go on a completely separate, equally unhinged rant about the whole Justice Geddes situation and how Wizards of the Coast retweeted a bunch of clearly bogus, hoaxy parody tweets by someone who just hijacked the Justice Geddes Twitter account to say some absolutely unhinged wokeism stuff. And I was going to talk about how that reveals that behind the scenes, Wizards of the Coast really does believe in absolutely unhinged shit in terms of how they view not just the game itself, but the people who buy it. It was crazy. But I've decided, as I thought about it, it's just not something I want to have on this channel regardless. It's nonsense, crazy talk. But yeah, no, I'm not going to be, I want to enjoy the products I purchase. And I want a Lord of the Rings adjacent product to be faithful to the franchise as envisioned by its creator, Tolkien. Not just because I'm a purist, because I'm definitely not, but because, I believe that being faithful as an adaptation goes a long way to ensuring the longevity of any kind of fandom, really. When you do this kind of nonsense where you try to change things up just to push a political message, you don't just ruin the IP, but you fracture fandoms all for the sake of clout and the potential for some money. And I'm against it entirely. I'm not going to be buying this product. I won't tell you what to do with your money, but I strongly encourage any fan of Tolkien to not buy this at all. There are other card games with Lord of the Rings characters on it. There's the Middle-earth TCG, the Lord of the Rings TCG. I think there's an RPG too. I think I have one downstairs. But yeah, my point is, I'm not giving this any money. I'm not. I'm done. I'm not spending any money on your bullshit, stupid crap. And, before I let you go, before I leave this video, I just wanted to say, the people who defend this product, they aren't defending it. There's no one defending the change of Aragorn. All they have to say in quote-unquote defense of this product, the only thing they have is to call the people who are against changing Tolkien's work, the people who are against race baiting, race swapping, and all that crap. The only thing that the defenders, the proponents of this shit have is to call you racist if you don't like race swapping, race baiting nonsense. That's all they have. All they'll ever do is call you racist for having the audacity to not like the bastardization of what you love. That's another thing. That's how I know that these people hate you. These people who worked on this hate you. They hate Lord of the Rings and they hate Tolkien because they will try to demonize you for trying to defend what you love. These people are evil, plain and simple. And they'll call you, they have the gall to call you racist for loving something and not wanting that thing to be changed. Fuck you, random Twitter users and Tumblrs and Reddit boys. If it's racist to be against ruining what you love, well then hail fucking Hitler. Have a good day, guys.